Hey guys, Naab-Levy here, and today I'm going to show you 3 exercises that you can do to strengthen your gluteus medius. Stay tuned. All right, so let's get started. First, real quick, what is your gluteus medius and why should you care about it? So basically, it's your second biggest glute muscle, and what it's responsible for doing is helping stabilize your hip joint when you're running, walking, squatting, jumping. And what happens for a lot of us is it becomes weak, and when it becomes weak, we tend to start to experience not just strain in the hip or the low back, but also down our knee and our ankle, because all of a sudden nothing's tracking quite right, since it's so responsible for kind of holding your hip on top of your leg bone, and then also controlling how much your leg rotates when you're walking around or in gait. So all that you need for this is a roller, a folded up pillow, or a ball, which we'll use in the third exercise, but you don't need it just yet. So the first 2 can just be done on the ground, no equipment. You're gonna lie on your side, and you're just going to use your bottom arm as a pillow. You're going to bend your knees in, heels in line with your back end. And you want to just sort of be mindful here that your top hip is stacked on top of your bottom hip. For a lot of us, we fall short in our waist here. So you want to kind of make sure that your hips are stacked. And then you just want to be sure that your hips are a little bit forward, because again, most of us sort of lounge back when we initially lie down. So once you're there, you want to think about using the back side of your hip, not so much the front side of your hip. So if you feel it right here where my hands are, that probably means you've kind of fallen backwards. So think hips are forward, think back side of the hip. You could even line yourself up against a wall as you need to. Heels stay together. You're going to slowly open up your top knee towards the ceiling. You're going to pause there, and pretty soon, if you just sort of wait, you'll start to feel some activity in the back of your hip. That's great. You want that. If you don't feel it, roll your hips forward to find a little bit better, and then you're going to slowly lower the knee down. You're going to try that a few times, just kind of opening the knee and closing the knee. Now you can do this 8 or 12 times, but if you start to feel in the front of your hip, I'd really start to be mindful of, are you keeping your hips stacked? You're probably falling backwards. And then let it rest, and you would repeat that on the second side. The second move I'm going to show you is just a little variation. It's less for the rotational abilities of the glute med and more for its ability to kind of abduct or lift that leg upward. So you'll straighten your top knee out. You'll slide your foot back so it's in line with your sit bone, and for a lot of us, when we extend our leg, our knee is facing towards the ground. So I want you to use those external rotators, those hip muscles on the side of your hip here, to turn the knee out just enough so it faces forward. Again, if you're like me, you tend to fall backwards, so roll your hips a little forward. You can put your hand kind of in the side of your hips, slightly back to find those muscles, and then you're going to lift the leg up. Pause, feel it activate, and then just come back down a little bit. And you're just going to do a few like that. You can always put your top hand on the ground for stability as you need. As you do this, what you want to be mindful of is that you don't roll or hike your hip to lift your leg. That's using your waist, and you really want to just use your hip muscles in this one to target that glute med. All right, so if you found those 2 worked out, you are successful. You felt it on the back side of your hip, not down your leg or in the front of your hip, which would let you know to kind of slow it down, rework your hip position as I described before. You can try activating those same muscles, but now up in gravity, which is a little bit more functional because that's how we walk around, but also a little trickier because now gravity is not on your side to help you lift your leg. So this is where you're going to want your ball, your roller, or your folded up pillow. So you're going to place the ball kind of right between your hip and the wall here. You're going to take your outside leg, line it up underneath your hip. This is called hip listing, by the way. And you're just going to sort of lift your inside leg up a little bit. You'll let your hip drop out to the side, so you'll just be a little bit lazy. And then again, you're going to find these muscles here in the side of your hip to almost lift the inside hip up. So I'm on my right leg, and you want to push into your right foot and push into your right hip to lift your left hip up. Feel that activation, and then you're just going to drop back down. And again, you can do this 8 or 12 times. It is a stabilizing muscle, but what you might find is you're a little bit weak, and here's how you'll know you're weak. When you go to lift, one of 2 things might happen. You might hike from your left low back, or QL. Try not to do that. The QL is this muscle in your low back. Or you might find that you twist. So again, you're trying to stay really square and forward, just dropping the right hip out to the right, and then pushing into the right foot to activate the right hip muscles to lift the left hip up. And then again, you'd repeat that on the other side. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, I'd invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exercises, tips, and tricks on how to get results in your fitness program without pain. Take care.